stand by for action.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. I want to welcome you to part one of an interview that I did with Kaiser Shuff on his show Kaiser's Castle, which took place on May the 14th, 2019. In it, we discussed a few items which had been on my mind since I had been taking my spring break, and I hope you enjoy it. A little bit of housekeeping first, though. Remember that my Facebook account has been disabled by Facebook as part of the purge of people on the right that took place some weeks ago. But you can still reach me so far at UBG Contact on Twitter. That's where you can contact me with questions, comments, show suggestions, also American suggestions. I'm also available as Dave Milner on MeWe, or you can find me as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Minds, Spreely, Mumblet, and Amagador on Gab. Now on with the show.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. The Kipling poem it's one of my favorites since I was a boy at school. My father read it to me once. And I think it to me as a little boy, it summed up what a man should be. And later on, when I became an actor, there were a couple of lines in there that affected me. One was, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, it's a very good thing for an actor, because an actor's life doesn't consist of any medium things. Everything is either a hit or absolute disaster. So there was that one. And then there is another line, which is, if you can hear the words you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, well, that's the press as far as actors are concerned, because you're always seeing something and you go, wait a minute, I never said that. And so it stayed with me all my life, right until this very day. You know, the war, for a start, took my dad away for 6 years. I never forgave him for that. You know, war disrupts everything. I was evacuated on my own and ill-treated and all that sort. Everything went wrong, you know. Peace, things go right. I was a soldier when I was 19. I spent my 19th year in Korea as a Fusilier infantryman. And so I know what I'm talking about when I talk about war. And it's the most disgusting thing that you could ever think of. And I've also noticed with every single war has been declared by men who are too old to go. And it's made me suspicious.
That was Sir Michael Caine. That gentleman read If by Rudyard Kipling. And today I have a special treat. A gentleman on this program, Kaiser's Castle, which you are all listening to at this time. And his name is Dave Milner. And he is an outstanding man. Dave, you can fill them in. I want you to give where they can find you now before you start telling them why it's going to be harder to find you because of social media's complete aberration of what they've done to you. And that's important to me. And so you're going to be able to share it a couple times during this program, as often as you want. I want you to pimp everything about what you do. I want you to tell the truth like you always do, because you are you are the man that I don't want to screw up your intro, because I'm gonna screw it up by calling you from that one program that I first learned about you on, and I will butcher it because I'm just that way. I won't remember it right. So please go ahead, brother, and I'll mute.
All right. Well, first of all, Kaiser, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm just back from 2 or 3 weeks of being away from the news, and I'll get into that, the reason why I do that 3 times a year later on. But yeah, my name is Dave Milner, and I have a show called The Unpleasant Blind Guy. Runs off of SHR Media, and I'm also heard on the Western Free Radio Network. And I'm also associated with the English Defense League radio show. That's heard on blogtalkradio.com. Now, my show times for The Unpleasant Blind Guy are Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and on Saturday at midnight Eastern. And started something new and different, or going to start something new and different within the next few weeks. I'm going to be merging the program a little bit with EDL Radio, so you'll be hearing a little bit more about what's going on across the pond, because, as we know, the march of progressivism isn't just in the States here with us, it's international. And we're going to take that a little bit further out in the international plane, and once in a while I'll throw in programs like maybe a rebroadcast of this one, where it's just me, or me and a guest, or me being a guest, or me being a pest. If people want to get hold of me, they can get hold of me at Twitter for now, at UBG Contact. I'm also available as Agador right now on places like Spreely and Mumblet, and of course Gab. And sadly, I did have a Facebook account, but I was purged as part of the removal of a lot of people who question Islam and its effects on the world. So I no longer have a Facebook presence. Not that that bothers me a whole lot. So that's the basics of how people can get hold of me, and we can get into a little bit more of both the purge and the vacation, because the vacation will lead me into something else that happened here recently, just in the States. So you call that Kaiser.
Hey, brother, you go with it. This is your show. This is all about you today, because it's important news that a lot of people need to know. You go as in depth as you want. Okay, I'm making sure that this is being captured on my channel for people to know.
All right. Well, hey, well, let me just say to start off that, my ego can beat up your ego any day of the week.
Of course.
When it comes to ego, I got a huge one, man. Not bragging here. But
It's not bragging if you can do it, brother, and that's the truth.
That's true. The only time that ego, and this is one of the problems that podcasters have once in a while, is some of us will allow our egos to get in the way of the message, and sometimes even get in each other's way, and that's something that irritates me a little bit. So I try to rein my big fat slob ego in. But let's first of all get into why I take a break 3 times a year from the news. And when I say that, I mean literally from the news. I knew of one news event that occurred between late April and the 13th of this month of May, and that was that President Trump screened the movie Unplanned, and sadly kept it a secret. And that was really the only news item that I knew about that occurred. And I did this. I do this partly to just to save my sanity, because covering a lot of the issues that involve Islam means covering a lot of violence, and it means covering a lot of man's inhumanity to man. And sometimes you need to just take a step back, take a break from that, and just enjoy life, and enjoy what you're fighting for, enjoy what you're, enjoy the America that God has privileged us to live in. And I first started doing this as kind of an impromptu thing. It wasn't planned. This was after the Sandy Hook school shooting. I believe this was on Twitter, and this was while the coverage was still going on. These poor kids' bodies weren't even cold. And you had lefties on there yelling, ban guns, ban guns, ban guns. And I just said, oh, okay. These, no sympathy or empathy for the kids, their families, their friends, anything. Just, hey, here's an opportunity. Let's ban guns. And I just got completely disgusted, and I turned the net off. And after I came back a few weeks later, I had a lot of friends jump down my throat saying they were about ready to call Burlington PD and get them to come out and make a welfare check, because I just wanted to divorce myself from the whole thing for a while. And I came
totally
later.
Get that.
Yeah. I mean, it was completely disgusting to me, Kaiser, that people would react that way. It's a horror when things like that happen. And you have to let people grieve. Get into the politics later if you want, but let them grieve. And but later on, I found that first experience so restorative that I began to do this 3 times a year. So in April and in August and around Christmas time, I take 2 or 3 weeks off, and just enjoy it. And I really think that it does help a lot, because for people who follow the news a lot and everything, it gets soul draining to just look at the carnage and the idiocy that goes on day in and day out without let up, especially now.
Yeah, in this information age that we'll discuss later. I mean, this 24-hour news cycle, I don't know that it's good for the human mind, but that's my own 2 cents on that. And go ahead, brother. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, Kaiser, you got it, man. I mean, I was about to say, I grew up in a time when really you got the news a little bit in the morning and a little bit at noonish, and then you got the evening news and the 10 or 11 o'clock news, and then you went to bed, and that was it. Your big news was in the evening, and unless you worked on a newspaper,
that was back That was back in the day, brother. Remember,
Yeah.
they used to turn the TV off at like 2 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and it was till 2 till 6 or 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
That was
For
a
the farm
respite.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would come on at 5:30 with the farm report, boy.
Yep. Excitement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, you'd get to sit there and look at a picture of the Indian in the headdress and the test pattern.
Yep.
And that was it. Now it's constant. If you have an interest in this stuff, you can get it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It is nonstop, and I think you're right. I think it does wear on people, and that's why I had to take that time off. And I try, guys, to make sure that I work quite a bit ahead of time, so that people who listen to the Unpleasant Blind Guy will have new shows, even if I'm not there. They'll just be shows that they haven't heard before. But yeah, I do take that time off, and I don't apologize for it. And I intend to keep on doing it. I'm looking forward to August when I'll get some more time off. Because it does help a whole lot. But I had to tell you, Kaiser, to start things off, I was really quite proud of some people in the news, and that doesn't happen often. I think the last time that I had this kind of pride was when the people who attended that church where that racist a-hole went in and shot up all those people, went to his pre-hearing and forgave him.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a beautiful moment, and I was so proud of them, and I was so proud to be an American that day. And I haven't felt that pride really in our people since, until I saw this last night. And this is a clip you can find on YouTube, guys. We go looking for it.
The link will be in the description.
Okay, this is, believe it or not, this blew my mind, from the Washington Post, and it's titled, "We Are People, Not a Statement." Students walk out of Colorado shooting vigil in protest. And it amazed me that the Washington Post actually had this on YouTube and covered it. These students were at this vigil after this school shooting. And by the way, it was later found out that one of the shooters was this anti-Christian guy who joked about school shootings. But they were at this vigil for him and everything, and it was all going great until the politicians got up and grabbed the microphone and started talking about banning guns and this and that, and the students just started walking out.
Pontificating. That's what they do.
Exactly. Yeah. Pontificating is a great word for it. That's what they started doing, and the students just got up on their hind legs and started walking out. And then they came back afterwards, the students did, and they took over the mic, and they basically told the press, which I think this is who they were addressing, that we're not props. This is a discussion that we can have, but at a later time. We didn't come here for this. And for kids, and Kaiser, you know this, how heavily influenced and brainwashed kids are now in our public schools. For kids to come back and do this just gave me a hope and a swelling of pride in those kids, and the hope again that they're not too far gone. That the spirit of free thought and individual thought is not too far gone in the American people, in American young people, which made me feel even better.
Well, brother, I just to add to your comment, having raised a young man that now is a gentleman, fellow brother Marine, it's important to know that I have had the privilege of helping to talk and talking with young men, honestly. And, that was something that's very important, the sense of mentoring. As a bastard, I would never be who I am today without proper mentoring. Coming from, just a little backstory, I don't know if you really know, from pretty much a Marxist thought process when I first went over and saw the wall in Europe in East Germany, the Berlin Wall, the Iron Curtain. This is something that's important for people to know. And I'm glad that you're talking about it, but I never lost hope in the youth. I think the youth are going to actually be the ones to correct this, and that's my own opinion.
Well, I got to tell you, you're not the first person to say this, and it's people have been talking about Generation Z now for close to a year, because some of these kids are coming up. They're the ones coming up. They're now just now becoming freshmen and sophomores in high school and things like that, and they're sick of this mess. They can see the idiocy that's going on with the adults, and they can see the idiocy that's going on in schools, and they can tell that there's something wrong, and they don't want to wind up as casualties in this war of propaganda. Right. And I think that what we saw in that clip from that vigil was part of it. I think it is true what you're saying, is that there is going to be a new awakening among these kids, and that gives me hope. Kaiser, I do a show called The Way Back, and for the next few weeks anyway. I'm my show, The Unpleasant Blind Guy, is running the Way Back commentaries, where I talk with people like the Underground Professor and Ken McClinton and people like that, and we talk about preserving the documents and the basic philosophy of the United States of America. And you spoke about it last time we talked in preserving our kids and having more kids. Which I agreed with, and yeah, I think the pendulum may be swinging the other way, and with all of the bad news that there is now nowadays, and with all of the retainers of Satan that seem to be arrayed against us, it was a genuine pleasure to see those kids out there doing that and saying that to the press, that no, we're individuals, we're not props. So there's that first little bit of hope to start things off.
Well, that's awesome. I'll tell you something that struck me with what you said. I'm sure you're old enough, just like I am, to I think you might have gotten me by a year or two. But anyways, I'm fairly certain we both remember Paul Harvey's now infamous "If I Were the Devil" commentary.
Oh, yeah.
And, when you look at it, it shows a lot of foreboding. And people, I'll link that in the description if you haven't seen it. And the more interesting point is, I'm not saying everybody's going to religion or anything like that. That's not... I don't pontificate. Your religion is a personal thing, just like mine is. It's not something that's ever been in a mix in America, actually. They've tried to do it a few times and failed miserably. Remember raising G-rated kids or PG-rated kids in an X-rated world. Tipper Gore is the one who actually wrote that, who was the wife of Vice President Al Gore. And so I don't want to get lost in that minutia, but there is a sense and a direct, honest sense in the American people of what is good, what's honorable, what is bad, what is distasteful. And I think we've broached a line, and honestly, I have to even hold myself to account for this. I mean, yes, I've made my effect in my own area, but did I go to my politicians and say, what the social justice warriors are doing right now is completely off the rails? Did I go out there and protest? And that's the thing. The left will protest, the small minority with a loud voice, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and yet a lot of times, look at the basic, a guy, I can't remember, I think it's in Pennsylvania, goes out to where people are just praying in front of a Planned Parenthood. And if you don't think Planned Parenthood is something that they're trying to do on purpose, then you're wrong. But they're just simply praying, and this alderman or whatever he was, councilman, goes out there and he's like, dox these people, find them. I want to know their names. I'll give you $100 for each person. We have broached into pure evil, brother, and that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, that we have, yes, and for anybody who wants a perspective on Planned Parenthood, there are many, but go to Black Genocide. I believe it's blackgenocide.org. All right, and it'll show you how the population of African Americans in this country has almost gotten to a point of stagnation, and it won't take much to tip it over to a point of decline.
Thanks to Margaret Sanger.
Correct. Yes, Margaret Sanger was oh, wow. She was a super mega racist. I mean, she called black people weeds. All right.
A eugenicist.
Yeah, oh, yeah, she was that too. I mean, and this is the woman who, the Margaret Sanger Award. That's what Hillary Clinton won, and Hillary Clinton was proud to win it. That gives you a real perspective on Planned Parenthood, that it was started by someone like that, and it's continuing, and now it's gotten to a point, not only where it has wide support, but now, of course, they've graduated to infanticide. It's like, well, the baby's born. Oh, well, the mother may have issues with the family because she's had a baby out of wedlock, or because it's inconvenient for her to have the baby. Yeah, just snap its neck. It's gotten to that point, and a lot of pro-lifers have been created just from this, because the left have just decided, you know what, we want to snatch it all now. We want it all right now. And I think, Kaiser, that they're very close to jumping the shark here and making things very difficult for themselves, or at least that's what I hope.
I think they already have, brother. Honestly, look, me and my twin sister were both bastards. It's on our birth certificates. But the thing is, my father was a Sicilian. They still had honor back in the day. And his father ended up all the poundage and the child support. $60 a month for 2 kids. $30 each. That's all that was back in the day. And that's in the 60s. And it amazes me that woman was able to raise 2 kids on, she didn't even have a high school education. And yet I've gone to college. My sister has gone to college. She's dead now. But I mean, there was a time when the weeds weren't just blacks. They were white, hillbilly trash.
Oh, yeah, poor whites. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something I don't think has been drilled in to our youth, that life is not to be thrown away.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think a thing that has happened in our society, and entertainment is partly responsible for this, is that people have been devalued. You see this in a lot of people think it's a small thing, and it's not really a big thing, but it teaches bad lessons. You see this in things like cartoons. I reference Teen Titans Go and Beast Boy or the Golden Girls, and the one from Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
There seems to always be, or there seems to be often in a lot of these quote unquote comedy shows, one person that everybody can treat like a piece of crap, and it's somehow okay. And then maybe one episode in about every 50 or so, they'll go a little bit too far, and then there'll be a nice little ending. But in the end, again, they'll treat them like a piece of crap. So I think over the years,
Right.
people have been taught that it's okay to treat people badly if they want to, for whatever reason. That it's okay to treat people badly. It's okay to devalue people, and that's not what we need to be doing in this country. We need to be pulling together, because there are people who definitely want to push us apart.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, that obviously now, speaking of pushing people apart, is again, the whole Ramadan thing that's going on right now. And now, on the English Defense League radio show, which comes on at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays and Sundays, Blog Talk Radio. The last one we had was, of course, Sunday, and on that day, this is according to the religionofpeace.com. A great place to go if you want to just get some quick facts about Islam. That was day 7 of Ramadan, and at that point there had been 41 attacks. I don't remember how many people had been killed.
The Ramabamathon.
Yeah. Today is day 9. Now there have been 52 attacks, and there have been 234 people killed. Okay. They're reporting one quote unquote right wing extremist attack with one person killed. I don't know what that one's about, but that pales in comparison to what the Mohammedans do at this time of year. And that really brings into focus a big reason for things like the desire for Brexit, which was voted on in the UK. Passed, yes. And Americans should give a crap about this, because we need to leave the United Nations, just as the UK needs to leave the EU.
Exactly.
We don't need to be part of a superstate. People say, well, then if we weren't, then we wouldn't cooperate with each other and things like that. What bupkis. I mean, before the United Nations, the United States of America was doing what we always do. Sending relief all around the world. Whenever there's a disaster, Americans open up their wallets. We are some of the most giving people on the planet, and it's because we're a prosperous nation, thanks to the free market. Okay, that means we can bless not only our own people but other people, and we do that. And we don't need a super state to help us do that. So the struggle for one of our best allies to leave a super state is something that we should pay attention to, and in my opinion, support.
I agree. What people fail to realize is the EU was exactly what Germany had visionized, and look who leads the EU with Juncker. And the other thing that you brought up that's so poignant, I mean, you bring up a lot of good stuff, but the truth be known, there is an issue that the UN first started out as the League of Nations, and the League of Nations was a failure. And yet we have propped it up since we restarted the League of Nations, which is what we need to refer to the UN as, in my humble opinion. It is the League of Nations. And we just need to dissolve it. We need to say, get out of New York. That's what trade deals are for. That's why we have customs agents. That's why we have Border Patrol. And that is the truth. And you are speaking truth to power, brother. And you know what? My generation may be lost. The boomer generation may be lost. But maybe Generation Z, maybe they're not lost. And maybe they can voice their concerns. Now they're becoming of voting age, and they get informed. And sadly, the media won't inform them, but it's up to us now, brother.
You're right. You're right. And I'd like you to expound a little bit more on that. That's it for this time. Next time, we'll get into part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening. Be vigilant in this killing time of Ramadan. And as always, may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2019. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.